Hey guys, happy Thursday. If you guys haven't heard of a guy named Paul Graham, he's the founder of Y Combinator and is far and away my favorite thinker and writer on entrepreneurship. There are guys like Andrew Chen and Brian Balfour that are also really good, but to me, Paul Graham really stands alone at the top. He's got a lot of really great essays you should read. They've been really transformational for me in terms of how I think and really influential. But one of my favorite ones is how he talks about how he got his conceptualization about what makes for a successful entrepreneur down to two words: relentlessly resourceful. And he especially pulls from, I think it's Chesky and the Airbnb guys, around their success. They were actually part of Y Combinator, and before Y Combinator, they'd been looking for a way to make extra money for the business. And so noticing sort of like the wave of the presidential race, they actually created some cereals that they then sold and I think made $40,000 off of, and they used that money. And the point here being is not that they did something crazy, but that they were confronted with a problem and found a way to make it work. Like in this case, they were resourceful around, looking around them and finding a way to make it work. But the key word also is relentlessly resourceful. That anyone can do that once, but the point is that with a startup and with one that you're going to be growing for years, you have to be relentlessly resourceful. Because even with Uber and Airbnb, it took them years to gain a lot of traction and actually prove the concept and prove that it could work. Like famously, there's this great correspondence that Paul Graham shares between, I think it was a guy at like Sequoia Capital and with Paul talking about the Airbnb guys and how they just didn't believe that it was going to be able to work, that Airbnb wasn't going to work, which obviously post facto we know that it worked and it was going to be great, but it just goes to show that like you have to be determined and absolutely just relentless in proving your concept. You have to really make sure that you are checking your premises, checking your assumptions, and making sure that what you're working on actually is intelligent and actually is the right answer. But once you're sure of that, you have to be relentless and just push through all these different barriers. Because along the way, like I was watching a video from this billionaire yesterday, and he's talking about how like even now he like still gets a ton of criticism all the time. So like of course there's always going to be criticism, and you have to be careful to discriminate between intelligent and good criticism and just emotionally based sort of irrelevant criticism. But regardless, you have to just be relentless in plugging through and making your way through things, and especially around the different problems that are going to come up. Like I right now need some money to raise, and so the question is, am I going to do that? Am I going to get a grant? Am I going to do funding? Am I going to do this, that, or the other? And I have to find a way to make it work. And that's obviously like a very common example, but the problems and the types abound. And so being able to know your North Star, where you're trying to go, and being absolutely set on that, but then being open to the different means by which you can reach that goal is crucial. And of course, this requires a lot of self-confidence, requires a lot of, really just confidence that comes from knowing oneself and knowing the problem and the solution. Honestly, those seem to be some of the main criteria, and maybe the only criteria. So right now, I've been thinking a lot about being relentlessly resourceful and what that actually means. It is interesting to note, though, that kind of doing entrepreneurship just really does feel so much different than like studying it and all these things, which is obviously like it's obvious, but there's this sort of extra quality that I can't really describe right now, where like for a time like it was cool because I was studying it, but now it's just like no, I am doing it. And so it kind of just like strips away this veneer of like sexiness or of, I don't know what you would call it, but it just feels different. In a really good way though. And I'm incredibly happy with where I am right now. I'm so glad that I left my job. I'm healthier than I was. I'm happier. Everything is better. I don't think I can probably go back. And this is just like, like once you actually start moving in the direction that I think we're kind of in a lot of ways predestined to genetically, dispositionally, and whatnot. Once we start going that direction, like, things just feel right. Like I was talking to a priest and he was saying like, this is when I was discerning the priesthood. God made us corporeal beings. He put us in the physical world. We shouldn't just pray about and discern things a priori before taking action. Like he put us in the world so that we can take action. And one of the greatest signs that you are heading in the right direction is that each step that you take will be accompanied by peace. Like when I then visited seminary the next day, there was just no peace whatsoever. But every additional step that I take here, and every day that passes, and especially as I begin to progress and starting to be a lot more productive in my days, it just feels so right. Like I imagine this is what it's like when you meet the girl of your dreams and you fall in love or whatever. That there's just never any doubt. Like, sure, like, am I scared at times? Am I kind of nervous? Like when smart friends whose opinions I really respect are really critical of it, like that'll kind of shake your boots a bit. But insofar as you're really honest with yourself about everything, man, it feels great. And like everyone always talks about, like we always see these like really successful people who are like making millions and millions and millions of dollars. They're like, oh, like you should do it, but take it from someone like who, like obviously it's easy for them to say, but like take it from someone who like I have like $5,000 in my bank account right now. I have not that much money in my bank account, which maybe that's a lot of money for compared to some other things, but like I don't have that much money left. But like even now, even despite my financial constraints, and I'm not even close to having made it, I don't have a single user, but it still feels great. It still feels right. And I know I'm gonna put in the work and the effort to make it happen, because this is what I want from life. And when you want something absolutely from life, damn, you're gonna do everything you can to get it. So yeah, just feel encouraged. Yeah, fuck it, man, just do it, just do it.